Hey everybody, it's Austin Ward for Lettermen Row, back with another BuckIQ. We've got the one and only Zach Boren with us. And Zach, we're still winding down here, going through Ohio State's recruiting class, signing class. We've got a guy today, Craig Young. He's an interesting prospect from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I watched him this summer come to camp, and one of the few ones I went to with Berm. He played at defensive end, he played at linebacker, he lined up and did reps at defensive back. He did some at wide receiver. I'm trying to figure out where this guy actually plays.
He is. He's one of those guys that is a pure athlete coming to Ohio State. I think he may be one of those guys. He may be the only guy in this class that has that question mark, right? When he comes here, where exactly is he going to fit in? Is he going to be the athletic linebacker that can play in space? Is he going to go to wide receiver? Could he maybe, with the running back depth, could he see some time at running back? Who knows what this kid is going to be able to do?
Do you think that's difficult? We've talked to you about versatility, and obviously your move didn't come till late in your career, but like not knowing what position you're going to play, I wonder how that wears on an athlete if you don't really get to dive into something right away.
A lot of times he prefers it, right? Coming into Ohio State, you know you're going to be put in a position that is a position of need, right? If they know you can play multiple positions and you're an athlete, they're not going to put you in a position that's completely loaded, so you're sitting back for a while. So I think that's the exciting part for him, is that when he gets on campus, he kind of talks to coaches, realizes what avenue he's going to go. He may switch a couple times in summer camp. We saw Brendan White do it a couple times, right, from wide receiver back to safety and back and forth. He's going to be in a position where he's going to be able to see the playing field early and often due to them putting him in a position of need.
So a little bit of a change for this BuckIQ with Zach Boren. We're going to let him play Mark Pantoni, try and figure out where Craig Young fits best.
I don't know if I can play Pantoni today. He better not view this, but man.
Well, at least do your best to break it down. We'll see where Craig Young fits for the Buckeyes after he signed with Ohio State. So let's roll the tape. All right, obviously the first thing that jumps out there on the beginning of the video, Zach, is that track time. Anything that jumps out
to
run. That's Pantoni's going to circle that the first thing.
You're right. I run that in a 60, no doubt. Right. You can see the speed right here, man. But look how big he is too, right? This is a guy that is not your typical short H-back that Ohio State's been recruiting that's real quick and fast. This is a guy who is big. Like, he's a big wide receiver. He almost looks like A.J. Green out here. Tall, lanky, 6'4" kid. With that speed, he can really do anything.
And we've had this conversation before when we're breaking down signees. Like, we don't always know the level of competition. He's just towering over some of these guys. Like, this kid has no chance of covering him.
Yeah, I really don't know the competition in Indiana. I haven't studied up on that competition. But, you look at this. He's just out-athleting everyone on the field. He looks bigger. He looks like a man amongst boys. Normally, that's a sign of a pretty good football player, a guy that's going to be a high-end Division I player. But still, just some of the things he's able to do, they are literally just throwing the ball up to him in double coverage.
I think we've talked about that before with maybe Ronnie Hickman, some guys. You can see it on offense if you're projecting defense, that if you've got those ball skills, maybe you can play both sides, but also it's important to get your eyes around and recognize plays.
And as a recruiter, there is one thing that doesn't matter, competition, film, it doesn't matter. It's ball skills. Like, that is the one thing that can pop off on film that you can't teach, that you can't coach, that it is something that they just either have or they don't have. So it doesn't matter if this is Division VII in Indiana. You can see the ball skills he has, and those are going to follow him here to Ohio State.
And this is that same conversation. Like, how do you decide if you're watching a guy, sometimes he's breaking free even on the highlights, wide open. How do you decide where you want to put him when he's lining up so frequently and making plays at wide receiver?
This is one of those kids, especially with his frame, being 6'4", 200 right now, can run. It's a guy that you could put out wide receiver. He can be a big, tall wide receiver like a Benjamin Victor that has a deep threat down the field, as you see right here. Or he can even be a guy that can be the next Jordan Fuller, right? Sit back in the middle field, be a bigger safety. We haven't seen a big safety in a long time come through Ohio State. So he could be a bigger, taller guy, maybe add another 10 pounds to his frame. Or he could even be a guy that, guess what? You put at linebacker, you add another 30 pounds to his frame, and he's a 6'4", 230, 235-pound linebacker that could run sideline to sideline.
You talked about Brendan White right off the top, Zach, and that's probably a good comparison for what we're seeing here. I always think of these guys who have uncertain positions. For me, it's like I go to Sam Hubbard. Like, could he fill out enough that he actually does go to the defensive line? Like, could he line up at linebacker? Could you move him to the offensive side? Like, to me, Sam Hubbard's the standard for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he's kind of a little bit like Sam Hubbard, right? I know some people want to see him at tight end, want to see him put on 40, 50 pounds in Mickey Marotti's weight program and go to tight end. I don't know. I don't know if he's the same as Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard is a little bit thicker. But this is a kid, man, like you said, there are so many different positions that you could put him at and that he could succeed at.
Well, you know better than anybody that Mickey Marotti, when he gets his hands on Craig Young, he's going to mold them into whatever position they see fit. That process will be starting for him soon when he arrives at Ohio State, the signee there from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Zach Boren will have a lot of chances to break him down as his career gets going. So this has been Lettermen Row, BuckIQ. That's Zach Boren. I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next time.